Okay guys, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well. Welcome to our YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we are going to continue where we left off on the previous tutorial. In the previous tutorial, we covered how we can generate dynamical forms in Django by using Jquery. If you have not watched the previous tutorial, please find out that tutorial before you proceed with this tutorial. To give you a clear picture of where we ended on the previous tutorial, let me show you a demo of what was achieved in the previous tutorial. In the previous tutorial, we were able to generate dynamical forms in Django by clicking the Add Form button. We could be able to add some more forms as we wish, but also we were able to remove the form if the added forms number were added by mistake. So that was the coverage of the previous session. In this session, we are going to cover how to submit a single dynamical form in Django. As you can see, this is a single dynamical form generated or built. And in the next session, we'll cover how we can save or submit the multiple forms starting from two forms and going on. But the coverage of this tutorial is how we can only submit the single form. Okay. So in this session we'll have almost the two parts. The part number one will be collecting the input form on the front end by using Jquery and submitting them to the back end. And the part number two will be the backend Django view, which accepts the form values submitted by Ajax from the front end and save them to the database. Okay, but before we start with part number one, which is correcting the form values by using Jquery, let me create a Django model which will be responsible for storing the information submitted in the backend. So I'll copy this model called the student, then after I'll edit the name of the model. So the name of our model will be records because it will be storing the records submitted from the user. The first column will be first name. The second model column will be last name. And the last table column will be opinion. So this is the model which will be responsible for storing the information submitted by the form. I'm using SQLite as backend database. So I'll run the migration to make sure the changes or the new created model or table is created on my backend database, which is SQLite. After creating the migration, then I'll migrate the migration created. Okay, now I should be able to run the Django server once again. If you have not watched my tutorial on how you can use DB browser SQLite for manipulating and viewing the information of SQLite database, please check out that video on my channel. So I'm using DB browser for SQLite, and let me go. I click file, then open database and select the database. As you can see, this is the model or a table created. It has 3 columns. First column is first name, second column is last name, and the last column is opinion. Make sure your table columns are reflected with the input field form. As you can see here, there is first name, there is last name, and there is opinion. After creating the model, I'm going to start implementing the functionality of collecting the input values from the form. So I open up take_js.html, which is our HTML file we use to store all Jquery and the JavaScript source code for the take.html file. So I double click the file. Okay. Then after, I want to handle the submit button. So let me open up the take.html to show you the button we are going to handle is event. You can see here there is a save button, so we want to handle the event of this button. Okay, so what I can do here, I will select the button, then write the function inside to handle the event. So here we have actually detected the save button. So to confirm, I'll display the message on the browser to make sure that we are sure the button is clicked. So I'll say button save button clicked. Okay, before, let me make sure once the button is clicked, the browser do not reload. Let me refresh the browser and add the form. I'm using Google Chrome as my development browser, so I'll right click and select the inspect. Okay, then after, let me click the save button. You can see save button clicked. So we are able to detect if the user is clicking the save button. Then the next thing we should do is we should make sure that we collect every information filled by the end user. Okay, so in the previous session we created this form by using Jquery and HTML. So let me go on tech.html, tech_.js, tech_js.html, and I give the name to the input field. This is first name, so I'll give it fn. Okay, let me see. No, this should be fn, which stands for first name. This will be ln, which stands for last name. And the text field will be opinion. So I'll call it pn. Let me call it op. Okay, then after I save. So in tech_js, in tech_js.html, I'll add here function for serializing the form. When we proceed, I'll tell you what does the serialize object does in HTML and Jquery. I Ctrl S to save the changes. Okay. After making sure that we are able to detect if the end user has clicked the save button, I'll start to correct the information submitted by the user. Okay, so here I'm going to create val from data. Val from data is equal to, I'm going to select the form. Okay, so then the ID of our form is test_form. Then dot serialize object bracket. In short, serialize object will convert the values from the form submitted into JSON format. So here I can show you the ID of our form, which is test form, and we named this in the previous session. you can see the ID of our form is test form. So what we'll tell here the serialize object is make sure you serialize every input values from the form with ID test underscore form. Then after, I'm going to create object. The object can be used to send it to Ajax call. Okay, then after, I'm going to create array for storing the first name, last name, and opinion. So this is last name array, and here I'm going, this OP array is array to store the opinion. And here I opt to use array to store the information collected from the submitted form, because as I've told you that this is dynamic form, means that user can create and submit more than one form. So another thing I'm going to do here is I want to display the information present in form data, which are the data stored with the help of serialize object, which serialize the form. So I'm going to display the information from form data on browser by using console.log. Then data is let me Ctrl S to save the changes. Then let me go to the browser and refresh our browser. So let me add a form here, and I'll start to fill the input fields of the form. The first name will be Moses, the last name will be Noel, and in my opinion I can say I like Django. Then let me click the save button. You can see here is our information. Here there is a CSFR token. The first name is Moses, the last name is Noel, and the opinion is I like Django. So we are able to collect the information submitted by the end user. Okay, but let me refresh and try out to generate two forms. Okay, here I can say the first name is Moses, last name is Noel, and opinion I like MySQL. Okay, here the first name I can say this is the Django coder. I can say this is coder. Okay, Thiago. Then opinion, I like your video. Then let me try out to click save. You can see once we have more than one data, or once we have more than one form, this information are stored in array. Okay, as you can see, the information are stored in array. But if there is only one form, I can show you here one more. Then I click save. You can see if there is only one form, the data is not stored in array. Okay, so it is only stored in object, as you can see. But if there is more than one form, the information are stored in array. And as I told you in the introduction of this session, that today we are going to implement the submission of a single dynamically generated form in the Django and the Jquery. And in the next session, we'll cover how we can submit more than one form, of which, from what I've shown here, the input values from the form will be stored in array. Okay. So the next thing, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to implement a simple check. Okay, so here I'll write if condition. So I'll say if array dot is array bracket, then form data dot fn. Okay, if is array, so we want to check if the first name submitted is array. Okay, I can say there is more than one form. So console.log, I can say there are more than one form. Then console.log, there is only one form. There is only one form. So is array will check out if the fn from form data, and you know what is fn stand for. Fn comes from the first name. Okay. So this is fn, which is the first name. Okay. So let me refresh this page. Add the form, then I'll input. So the first name is, as usual, Moses. Last name is Noel, and opinion, I like Django. Then save. You can see here it is stated that there is only one form. Let me refresh and try out to add more than one form and see if the created statement in Jquery can know if there is only one form or there are more than one form. So for this spec, I'll create two forms. The first name I'll say is Moses. The last name is Motek. Opinion, I can say I like ML, means I like machine learning. The first name I can say this is Anie. Last name is James. And the opinion, I do not like PHP. Then let me click save. You can see there are more than one form. So we are able to count or to detect how many forms are submitted by user, because one form should be handled differently with more than form, or I can say one form should be handled in a different way as we handle the multiple form. As I told you in the introduction part of this video, that the coverage of this session will be a single form. So the code block inside it there are more than one form will be covered in the next session. In this session we will cover here the block of else, which is there is only one form. So after detecting if there is one form, we will need to take the form values and push them to the array. So the first name is equal to form data.fn. I'll copy this and paste it. Make some changes that object.lastName is equal to form data.ln and object.opinion object.opinion is equal to form data.op. After that, I'll push the collected information from form data with the help of object. I'll push them in array. The created array is fn array, ln array, and op array. So it is a time to push. Because we have one form, we'll push it in a normal way. But if there could be more than one form, we could use the for loop in Jquery to push all input from multiple form by using a loop. For this sake, I'm going to write fn.push form data.fn. Then ln array dot push bracket form data.ln. Then after, I need to push the opinion. So it is form data.op. So what I have done here, I have pushed the value from the form data into array. Okay, so here I'll say console.log single object from form single object from form single object from form is object. Then the first name from array console.log. First name is fn array. Console.log last name is, I'll display the last name. Then console.log opinion is, I'll display the opinion pushed by using push method in Jquery. Let me Ctrl S to save the changes. Then go to the browser to refresh the browser and try out to see if everything amended is working. So I'll add the form, then I'll fill in the first name is Noel, the last name as usual is Noel, the first name is Moses, then I like the Django. Then I hit the save button. You can see here there is only one form. Single object from form is first name Moses, last name Noel, and opinion I like the Django. First name, as you can see, is Moses. Last name is Noel and opinion is the Django. So after successful collecting the input values from the form, I'm going to submit them by using Ajax. Okay, so here I'm going to create Ajax. So type is okay. So the type is posty. Okay. The URL so here I leave the space for URL because we are yet to create the Django. Okay, then here I'm going to write headers. Okay, so that is CSRF token to prevent the CSRF attack of our test form. So the next thing to do is the data. Okay. So data is first name, last name, and opinion. So type is post, URL is blank because we are yet to implement the Django view backend. So here I'm going to write the success function. Okay, so what I can do here, I can say x is equal to data.status. Then after I'll say if x is equal to 1, if x is equal to 1, I can say data submitted successful. Okay, so data submitted successful. So we are done with the front end part. What I'm going to do here is to implement the backend part, which is the Django view for receiving the input from the front end and saving them to the backend database, which for my case is Jquery. Okay, so here I'm going to create the Django URL, the Django view. Def I can say take Ajax. Okay. So if request dot method is equal to post I can say A is equal to request.post dot get list bracket fn so B is equal to ln and C will receive the opinion. Okay, then after I like it to print the first name, last name, and the opinion in the Django backend. So I can say the last name is and the opinion is C. Okay. Then after, what I can do here, I can check the length of first name. So if there is the length of first name is equal to 1, I can detect that the submitted form is only 1. But if the if first name is greater than 1, it means that there is a great possibility and it is possible that user has created and submitted more than one form. Okay, so I'll put here the condition. I can say if length A is equal to 1, if there is only one form created and submitted by the user, then save the information in our backend database, which is called the records. So first name is equal to A, last name is equal to B, and the opinion, okay, is equal to C. A.save. I save information in the backend SQLite database. Then I'll return JSON response. I'll return 1 if there is only one form and it is successfully saved. Okay. Then else, as I told you that we are going to cover only single form submission. So here what I can return, I'll just return 0. Okay. Then after, I'll do the URL mapping to map this function to the URL conf. Okay, so what I can do is I open up the URL. I can copy this. Then here I can say take Ajax. Okay. Then here I can say the name of view is take Ajax. Here I can say this is take Ajax. Okay. Then after, what I can do is I can add here the URL. Okay, then after I can copy this and I paste it here, that if the status is equal to 0, data is not, let me change the status and say form submitted successful. Here I can say form is not submitted. Comma failed. I Control S to save the changes. Then after, let me come back in my views here. I'll import records model from my application. Control S to save the changes. Then let me go to the browser and refresh it. Okay, let me add the form and write the first name as Moses, last name as Noel, and opinion is I like Django. I hit the submit. You can see form submitted successful. Let me click OK. Then go to the backend database and click refresh. You can see information is submitted. By saying so, we are now capable of submitting a single dynamic generated form in the Django and Jquery. Let me try out to submit more than one form. So the first name I can say is Sarah. Joseph. I like Java. Last name I can say this is Angel. Lima. Can say I'm Brazilian who like who likes Django. Then after, let me hit the save button. Okay, you can see here there are more than one form. So this does even not reach in the back end. So actually, this is the end of this session where we have covered how we can submit a single form from dynamically generated form in Django. In the next session, we'll cover how we can save more than one form which are dynamically generated by using Django and Jquery. If you find out this video is helpful, you can like it and share it for your colleagues. But what is your experience when dealing with submitting a single form generated dynamically with Django and Jquery? It is vital to get your experience as we share our experience in our coding life. Put comment below and let me know how much do you enjoy about the session I'm creating for you. But also, to get the update of amazing video like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notification. Furthermore, do not miss the next session, which will be the last video on our tutorial series of dealing with dynamical form generated in Django and Jquery. So the first session was how we can build the dynamical forms in Django and Jquery. The second session is this, which is at the very end. It was how we can submit a single dynamically generated form in Django and Jquery. And the last part will be how we can submit more than one form. There is one of amazing trick how you can save the input form in array, okay, and how you can unpack them in the Django backend and save them by using a loop. So it will be one of amazing tutorial of which I advise you to do not miss it. So all of above sum up the end of this session. Thank you and see you in the next tutorial.